lady yields back, now I recognize the chair of the full committee, Mrs. Rodgers, for her 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, thank you again for appearing before this committee. As you may know, I think you've referenced it, Ranking Member Pallone, Senate Commerce Chair Cantwell, and I have been working diligently to move forward on a comprehensive data privacy and security framework for the United States. In fact, our very first hearing in the subcommittee this Congress was about the importance of enacting a data privacy bill and promoting emerging technologies in our economic competition with China. The American Privacy Rights Act is going to provide Americans new rights over their data, but will also secure U.S. footing on the world stage on a number of tough topics. Can you discuss the challenges in demonstrating leadership abroad on cross-border data flows, trade agreements, promoting U.S. commerce without the U.S. having such a framework in place?
Yeah. So, Chairwoman, I just want to applaud you for your work on this. I think it's essential. I strongly support your work. I appreciate you doing it in a bipartisan way, making progress towards data privacy, and I would like to let you know I want to work with you on that so that that can be successful. So I just want to say a couple quick things. First, America right now has the best tech companies in the world. That's a good thing. That's good for our innovation, and we can outcompete China. However, they have to follow privacy rules to protect our consumers. You know, they have to have your bill and such. We have to set clear limits on how companies can collect, use, share personal data. And there have to be protections that are enforceable. And I know that's exactly what you're trying to do. I travel around the world. You know, I've been all over Asia, Europe, just Latin America just this year. When I go around the world, I try to convince these other countries to embrace our values of, you know, freedom, data protection, openness, reliability, security. Well, how can we lead in the world if we're not doing it ourselves? So once again, I think this is an incredibly important, long overdue, I will add, piece of legislation. And I think it matters here. But as you say, I think if we're going to lead the world and want to have open and secure and reliable internet and cloud and AI, we need to have privacy legislation here at home.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I want, as a follow-up, these big tech giants, technology companies, would you just speak? We do celebrate the innovation and leadership. Would you speak to what privacy rules are currently in place? You said, you know, that we need clear limits, how they collect, use, share, sell, protections for enforcement. What is currently in place to protect individuals' data in the United States of America from being manipulated, used, sold?
Yeah, I mean, as you well know, it's a hodgepodge of state regulations or other, you know, regulations. But what we desperately need is a federal piece of legislation that sets out standards that are enforceable that every company in every state has to follow. So I would say the current protections are inadequate at best, and that's why we need a comprehensive piece of federal legislation.
Thank you, and it's so foundational. When we think about America's leadership, which I believe really matters, we must balance the personal rights while promoting innovation. I also wanted, to ask you, as we think about emerging technologies, it certainly has been a priority of mine for some time. I'm excited about the future of artificial intelligence. Semiconductor chips will certainly play an important role in achieving the promise of emerging technologies. You also know my concerns related to permitting. And the permitting that needs to take place takes way too long. Read an article again. Could be permitted in Japan in a year. It's taking 3 years in America, and we're not getting it done. How can the administration, or when will the administration tackle the problems that can't just be solved with money, but actually need to address the permitting and the duplicative and burdensome regulatory hurdles?
Yeah. So look, I face this every day in the work with semiconductor companies, but even more so in the work we're doing on internet, you know, the labyrinth of permitting to lay a piece of fiber. I will say one piece of good news, which I haven't yet shared with you. When I was here 6 months ago, I was highly concerned about NEPA and the chips factories. I can report to you today that we've made a ton of progress on that, and we are on track to complete the environmental review for all of these companies before we issue the award. So I don't think that NEPA will be a holdup in any of that. Having said that, the President has called on Congress to pass comprehensive permitting reform, and I think that that is what is necessary. Obviously, we need to protect the environment, endangered species, clean water, clean air are a priority. But I agree with you. You are correct. It is too cumbersome, takes too long, is too confusing, and if we're going to have, not unlike what you're doing with privacy, I think it's time for a bipartisan, comprehensive piece of federal permitting legislation if we're going to, improve the situation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. I completely agree. I'll just note for the record that TSMC, this was the article I was reading, the CEO was talking about building 2 fabs, one in Phoenix, one in Japan. They did the Japanese factory in 1 year. In the US, they've been under construction for 3 years, and the factory's still not finished.
Yeah.
More to be done. I yield back.
Agree.
Sorry,
Agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlelady yields back. We'll now take a brief recess for floor votes. We'll reconvene promptly 10 minutes after the last vote is called.